Hey humans, welcome. This is Monster69, and in this episode I'll be reviewing Death of the Outsider, which is Dishonored 2's latest DLC. I'll start off, guys, by getting stuck into the storyline, and then I'll finish off by giving my thoughts on the game mechanics itself. So this DLC, guys, was released just a couple of weeks ago on the 15th of September on the PC, PS4 and Xbox platforms. This game is actually the third game in the Dishonored series, and it's developed by Arcane Studios, who also made another awesome game that I love called Prey at the beginning of the year. Now I have to say, guys, I am absolutely in love with the art style that the Arcane artists have implemented for Dishonored and Prey. I just love the stylized format of the game, the world that they've built. I'm pretty much hitting up the Bethesda webpage, trying to buy all the artwork that I can so I can stick them on my walls. So big kudos to you Arcane artists. Now, Death of the Outsider pretty much happens straight after the events of Dishonored 2, and you play as a character called Billy Lurk, who I believe was called Megan in Dishonored 2, but I could be wrong. Now, Billy is a former assassin who pretty much helps Emily regain her throne during the events of Dishonored 2. The game starts with Billy waking up on now her infamous ship called the Dreadful Whale, and she's been experiencing, several nightmares which result in pains in her arm and in her eye, of all things. What she's doing at the beginning of the game, guys, she's looking for her mentor called Dawood, who, this is where the story gets pretty interesting. So Dawood is the assassin who killed the Queen in Dishonored 1. So in an ironic way, Billy, being the apprentice of Dawood, helped or was involved in the assassination of Emily's mum. So why does Billy help Emily in Dishonored 2, you may ask? So my take on it is that Billy has a moment of zen where she regrets being an assassin, if you like, and wants to make up for it. So she ends up kind of betraying Dawood in Dishonored 2 and decides to help Emily regain the throne, despite the fact that her mentor killed Emily's mum. And lo and behold, at the beginning of the game, Billy does locate Dawood, her mentor, and Dawood also seems to have a change of heart, if you like, where he's realized that he's been given these powers by a mysterious figure called the Outsider, who is also the same figure that's given Emily her powers and ends up being the same figure who gives Billy her powers. And Dawood is convinced that the Outsider is to blame for all of their woes. So he believes that the Outsider has been pulling all their strings, and that's where I believe Dishonored kind of places a philosophical question to the player, in that when you are given certain powers, is it the person that gives you the power that's responsible for the evil that you do, or are you responsible for the evil that you do with the powers? So, and I think this is represented in Dishonored 2 by the chaos system, where if you chose the stealthy path, the outcome of the game was such that Emily was a kind and democratic and inclusive leader, whereas if you use the violent sort of path, Emily would become an evil dictator. So this game directly kind of puts you into the hot seat and gives you powers, and it's up to you as to how you use those powers. So Dawood blames the Outsider and essentially sends Billy on a quest in this DLC to confront the Outsider, and that's what the overarching story is that Billy needs to find a way into the void and in one way or another put an end to the Outsider. So This DLC essentially, guys, really ties up all the loose ends presented in Dishonored 1 and Dishonored 2, which is awesome. I couldn't ask for anything more in a DLC. I'm glad they did this expansion, if you like, and tied up all the loose ends. If you're a Dishonored fan, I highly recommend that you play this, just for the mere fact that you get a solid conclusion to the story arc, and it's kind of left me guessing as to what's going to be next. I hope there are more Dishonored games. I just think it's such a wonderful world. It's so unique, it's so different to anything else that I've played, and I'm looking forward to Arcane releasing another Dishonored, maybe with a new storyline, new characters, allowing me to further explore this wonderful world that they've created. So let's get stuck into the game mechanics, guys. There's three major changes from where I'm sitting. The first one is that in this DLC there is no chaos system, so it doesn't matter how violent you end up being, and it doesn't matter how stealthy you are, you're still presented with the same two options at the end, which if you're going to ask me, do I like it? I do like it because it allowed me to be, if you like, reckless or more adventurous with the wonderful skills and the crazy gadgets that they give to you. So I felt that with the chaos system in Dishonored 2, I appreciated the philosophical position that they've put you in, but they just give you such freaking awesome skills and awesome gadgets that, just to use the stealth route was just such a big tease. And I felt, every time I got detected by guards or was fighting for my life, I would kind of reload the save point and try and do a stealthier approach. Whereas in this DLC, I was kind of free to do whatever I wanted, and I really enjoyed that freedom, knowing that I had the same two decisions at the end of the game. So yeah, there's no chaos system in this DLC. The second sort of big difference I found was the mana bar, or the void bar. So in Dishonored 2, your mana didn't regenerate automatically. You had to run around and find bottles or elixirs to regenerate them, whereas in this DLC your mana bar just regenerated after a certain amount of time, which again increased the freedom and recklessness at which Billy could approach different situations, which I enjoyed as well. The third main difference is the number of actual void abilities. In Dishonored 2, you were given many different abilities, and they were kind of unlocked as you progress through the game, whereas in this DLC you are given 3 abilities, and they're kind of unlocked at the beginning, and they're all unlocked at the same time. So I was kind of mildly disappointed at only having 3 skills, but the more and more I used the 3 skills, I became a fan, because it was less complicated. Every situation I approached, instead of me thinking, oh, what skill should I use? Should I use skill A, B, or C? Can I do better with D or E or F? I knew I had these 3 particular skills, and I would just get stuck into that situation knowing full well what I had to do. And the more and more I used the same skills, the more and more I became a master, and it just became very fluid towards the end of the game. I felt like I had become like a master, and again, I absolutely loved that freedom. So the 3 main skills are Semblance, where you pretty much take the disguise of someone and you can use it to get past guards and security checkpoints and whatnot. The second skill is called Displace, where you put a marker somewhere and you teleport straight to it, which you end up using a lot. And the third one, pretty much Billy just turns into a spectral form, and you can mark enemies, which was awesome. The marking was a little bit different. It's not just seeing enemies through a wall or whatever. You could actually, it showed their predicted path, so you could set traps, or you could plan in advance an ambush, if you like, of that particular person. So really good skills, very simple. So yeah, guys, there was no chaos system. Your mana regenerates, and very simple 3 skills allowed for very kind of simple yet fluid combination of things to happen. So all in all, I love this DLC. I think it put a conclusion to what is a wonderful storyline. If you're a fan of Dishonored, you'd be crazy not to play this DLC. It's a must. So I highly recommend it, guys. And that pretty much sums up my review. I give it a solid 4 out of 5 human skulls. Oh yeah. Thank you and see you next time.